We've been at the AI Horizon Summit this week, and the visionary behind it is Joanna Doven, who leads the AI strike team here in Pittsburgh. Thank you for not only being here with us, but for having us here for this great event.
Well, I think we have a like-minded passion about the renewal of these cities that we call them Rust Belt, right?
Right.
Because they have the legacy industry and they built our not just the economy of America, but of the world, right? But that is now the asset in the AI economy now.
Yeah.
And so the old and the new mixed together is what's accelerating economic development throughout these cities that are doing both research, both innovation, but then industrial adoption of AI. And so I've been on this rallying cry for about 2 years now that it's Pittsburgh's moment, and you have been seeing it from a different lens,
Yep.
in Washington D.C. and so now we're converging, and we're so happy that you're covering this.
We're happy to be here. I was here in July for the Energy Innovation Summit. We're here again in September. How do we keep the momentum going? Where do we go from here?
Well, we have the AI strike team. There's no other AI strike team in the nation or world. And so we are 100% focused on growing the new AI economy in Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania. So every day we wake up and we think, who needs to make human connections in order to scale and grow here? There's 3 things we're doing. One, and this is, in a way, this is new information, so you've heard it live here. We are looking to start a Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania-based AI fund. So you probably know of the Ohio Fund, right?
Yeah.
We have so much capital in Pittsburgh. We have our foundations. We have our legacy companies, BNY, US Steel, and why don't we have a native capital Pittsburgh fund here? Because we can't wait for the maturation of our AI companies who are going to go through acquisitions and then get that flywheel of reinvestment. The economy is moving too fast. We have to accelerate an AI fund to propel all of the good things we have happening here around AI innovation. So that's one thing. Second thing is, you probably can't do this interview because the Army may not clear it this fast, but we have the largest federally trained AI unit in the nation, right here in Pittsburgh on AI Avenue, the Army Intelligence Integration Center. So there's over 200 soldiers being trained in AI right here. And they're not only working with those in the battlefield to give them intelligence using AI, but they're training at Carnegie Mellon and upping their AI skills and then deploying them to the armed forces. That's happening here. We need more federal DoD AI units conglomerating where it's already working and happening in Pittsburgh. The third thing is we have to keep accelerating our storytelling.
Yeah.
So the AI companies are doing great things right now. So hats off to folks like Shiv Rao from Abridge and Jake Lucera from Gecko Robotics. They're doing the work of building these huge companies. But they don't have the time to talk about Pittsburgh because they're constantly accelerating deployment. And AI technology is advancing every week. So they have to stay on top and they have to keep innovating. So whereas before, I think about COVID, when COVID was a thing and we were at home, social distancing, the world was slower, okay? In 1888, Alcoa was founded here, and so was Wabtec, and these huge Gilded Age companies were founded here in Pittsburgh. They had time to think about their acceleration. It wasn't a global economy. There was no internet. Of course there was no AI, obviously. They could be more thoughtful and slow. We have to move at the speed of AI right now. And so the civic entrepreneurship that is the AI strike team is matching the economic moment with civic initiatives and also filling in the gaps where existing economic organizations would normally do these things but aren't set up to move so fast. One example is secure space, SCIF space, right? It's where you do secure work and you know that China's not going to intercept your signal. And this is table stakes to even apply for an RFI with DoD, which is, there's billions of dollars in DoD contracts out for bid right now. We don't have adequate SCIF space in Pittsburgh for our defense tech companies to apply for things. So the strike team got the pro forma done because I have a development background, right? Worked with our defense tech companies and put in a federal probe and a state probe for the funding of a co-working SCIF space to be located right here on AI Avenue. That's in motion. So we're putting things in motion quickly that if we did not exist, they would just continue to be talked about as the problem. But basically, to be very simple, we know what our problems are here when it comes to accelerating our economy authentically, because we should own this moment. The problems are the following. We don't have enough native capital. We're working on it, right? We need secure space. We're working on it. We're not telling our story. We have been doing that. This is telling our story. We have national media, we have London media here, right? And we're doing, a very small team is getting this done. So I'm tired, right? As you know, I mean, this is a startup. This is literally just like you're doing it. It's a startup. And it's uncomfortable at times, right? Because you're rocking the cart. I mean, just like Standard & Works. You're doing something that needs to be done. You're disrupting, right? And so is the strike team. But our premise is this. We are here to collaborate. So the existing economic organizations, whether you're the Tech Council or the Chamber of Commerce, we want you to be a part of what we're doing. But understand that you have to move with us, because we care too much about the economy and the growth of our region. If we don't move fast and move now, we're going to look back at this time and say, why?
And when you think about the competition, I mean, there's the competition from within, the different stakeholders that have been at this for a long time that you have to bring together, improve the model. When you look outside, though, there's a competition of a narrative, clearly. Where do you see the other regions? Is it just geographic of who's nearby? How do you think about how the strike team kind of relates to the rest of Pennsylvania? What is the competition? Who are you trying to win against?
That's a great question. Wow. We are trying to, in many ways, we are doing a couple of things. We're trying to beat out the PTSD of what Pittsburghers have. I mean, I was born in 1984. The largest steel plant in Pittsburgh shut down that year. I worked for the mayor for 8 years, high level, director of communications. And there's a pervasive PTSD here because we went from a population of 700,000 to 300,000. Yeah. And so when I say, let's do this big thing, there's a frowning from some of our leadership here, right? Like, oh, really? Can that actually be done? And you only grow by going through hard things, right? By thinking big. And so in many ways, like we've done so many hard things here, right? Throughout our history in Pittsburgh, and it's in our DNA. Right. And this is the next hard thing. The next hard thing is making big bets on the AI economy and therefore growing as a city, as a region, and as a state. Right? And so what do those big bets look like? That's what we're figuring out. And you only figure that out by gaining insights from those new titans, like the new AI innovators that are living in the AI economy every day, but are so busy and not connected to the usual economic ecosystem. They're not talking with the governor's office every day. They're not talking with the mayor's office every day. They're in their bubble of growth. And so you got to break through to them and say, we're here to figure out how we take what you're doing, help you by connecting you with legacy industries, help you tell your story, and then we all grow together, right?
It feels like you're waking up in the morning less with the fight against Ohio or Michigan, which are trying to be into this game also. I asked the governor yesterday about who he sees as the competitors around. It sounds like it's more the fight against perception and the inertia of where the city and the region have been in the past, and just trying to create that new chapter. Is that what I'm hearing?
You're exactly right. And we have great political alignment, which was talked about today. Were it not for that political alignment, I don't know if we would be here right now, where we have a governor that's
right.
I would describe him as, I was thinking about this yesterday. He's not a top-down person. He's not like, I want this to happen now. We are the AI state. He creates a table set where his mantra is get stuff done, right? You hear him say it all the time. And he rewards organizations, people, and companies that are entrepreneurial. How does he do that, right? He was one of the first to adopt the AI strike team's premise that we have to do something different and we have to do it fast. And he was one of the first to agree to come to the first summit we had when you mentioned we're fighting against Pittsburgh perception. Old guard here, old institutions. They're the ones that have the summits and they're the ones that call the governor, and who is she to do this, right? But we just did it. There's a lot of life lessons I've learned through this process, and one of those is that you have to just make it happen for yourself. You can't wait, right? And I for a good 3-4 months, it was multi-collaborative. We brought in all the players and we said, do you want to do this? Do you want to lead this? This is happening. But when nobody was doing it, I was just like, all right, I guess I'm going to do it. But I just want to pivot and say, I'm in my own bubble of Pittsburgh. This is where I live, right? When people have found the strike team in weird ways, and it's like becoming its own little thing. I mean, Kazakhstan, I mentioned that in my opening speech. The State Department had Kazakhstan come visit the strike team, sponsor trip. They went to 3 cities, and it was like leadership in Kazakhstan, of the University of Kazakhstan. By the way, they bought they bought an NVIDIA superpod, right? So they've invested like $50 million in that, and they're trying to play. They're like, we know we have to play in some way in the AI economy, but we have nothing unique to play with, by the way, other than we're going to invest in it and go all in. And of course, they're powering their superpod by coal, which was a question I asked when they came. And they were like, I said, how are you powering the superpod? They said, well, the grid. I was like, I know, probably, but what's powering the grid? They were like, why are you asking us that? It's cool, right? So we're in a global economy now. And we get into these bubbles of, wait, don't move too fast. We're going to disrupt this. If we don't move too fast, we're not going to exist in a way where we have decisions, we can make decisions. We want to be in a decision-making state, right? And so I think about that with Pittsburgh. It would be great, almost like the summit, where it has grown, and thanks to Senator McCormick for having the Energy Summit at CMU, it raised the profile, and it actually aided the attention for this summit.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, this summit was announced way before his, and I was nervous about it because then he announced his, and I'm like, oh my God, competing summits. But it wasn't complementary, on the other hand. But it's a really interesting time, and you need drastic actions.
And when you're looking outside the bubble, I mean, it seems that you're borrowing from the playbook of a lot of the founders and disruptive startups that are in the city that you're trying to leverage their momentum of. It seems like you're drawing a lot from the campaign playbook of how political campaigns are waged and fought with that level of just intensity and speed. Are you looking at any other states or regions that you're like, if only we could do a little bit of that magic or get some of that here? Is there anything that's inspiring you from looking at the competitive landscape?
I mean, the Ohio Fund, I've followed that since its inception. I think an entrepreneurial effort, right? Yeah. That, largely was about place, right? Place and opportunity. The Ohio Fund was started by an entrepreneur and, brought in other entrepreneurs and also government leaders to say, how do we create a fund where we're reinvesting in our state in startups, but not just startups, they're buying land and they're building data centers. They're finding returns to then grow the fund. I mean, it's a pure capital play. My grandparents lived in Westerville, Columbus, right? They've now passed, so I grew up going to Columbus. And I remember, so the whole, what's difficult to reconcile with is, we have a great governor right now. He's playing so much catch up. And so it's hard to do an apples to apples comparison of what could we do better than Ohio, because they started so much earlier in building out infrastructure for data centers, right? And somebody said this, and it was a simple way to communicate the Pennsylvania economic problem. Ohio's drink tax is going to innovation and startups. Our tax on gaming is going into senior citizen tax relief. I'm all for senior citizen tax relief, but that's not growing the economy. Where can we spur innovation? And so, look, we're not going to change that overnight, but what we can do is say we've got a lot of legacy private capital here. We've got a lot of foundations. How can we create our own fund? Maybe leverage the state treasury, get some skin in the game from our state, and just spur it. Just like we spurred the strike team, right? We're going to just keep spurring and catalyzing.
So I know you gave us a little bit of a preview that a fund is underway, but maybe some breadcrumbs about where the collaboration and resources might come from. Anything more to share on that front, or what we can expect?
I would say that the conversations have been happening at the summit with very high value players, some of whom are folks that grew up in Pittsburgh, left, see the opportunity, love Pittsburgh, love their Steelers. Let's leverage that hometown, camaraderie, and want to play and want to give back. So more soon.
All right. Well, anything else that you want to share? But this was an amazing insight into the strike team, this event, and what lies ahead.
Well, I think we're going to be doing one of these in Harrisburg very soon. So I think we're taking Horizons to Harrisburg. Why? Education, right? We have to educate our policymakers. And how do you do it fast? You have to do something buzzy. You have to do an event. I'm not in the mood to walk around the halls of the Capitol and walk and sit. So I was talking with Senator Greg Rothman, who's actually the state chair of the GOP state chair. Very bipartisan, this whole thing, which I love. And, into tech. And we have the House and Comms Tech Policy Committee here, some members, but we need to take the message of why Pennsylvania needs to lean in so hard into the AI economy to Harrisburg. That's our next move.
All right, we look forward to it. Joanna Doven, thank you for having us here at the
And you better come.
I'm definitely coming.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.